Welcome to this episode of Salt, Pepper, Oil. Today we're going to show you how to make this really simple dish. I call it chicken mushroom fettuccine. It is fresh fettuccine that's rolled out for you. You got cremini mushrooms or button mushrooms, red onion, garlic, one of our marinara sauces that we make in-house. Finished with a little bit of cream, dusted with some Asiago Parmesan and Romano, and wilted spinach in the end. Join us real quick, 10-15 minute meal. Let's cook this thing. So what you're gonna get in this kit from Salt, Pepper, Oil is fettuccine, fresh rolled, sliced chicken, cremini mushrooms that are quartered, spinach, one of our house-made marinaras, some cream, red onion and garlic, and some Parmesan Romano and Asiago cheese that'll garnish your dish on top. All right, so for this episode, you're gonna need a saute pan, depending on the size of the meals. You can kind of adjust the size that you need. Standard about medium-sized saute pan, a pair of tongs, just a utensil holder, pane, and then we got a pot of water boiling. You need about 4 quarts of water. Typically is sufficient for a single to double portion, and then just kind of adjust what you want to make sure is you're having enough water so that the water recovers quickly enough and you don't have really gummy, gloopy pasta because you did a quart of water and then you got overcooked pasta or gloopy pasta. Anyways, let's get to cooking. All right, pan on. First thing you're gonna do is saute the chicken. We're gonna let this pan get up to heat. Pan just started to lightly smoke. No browning around the edges. Get that chicken in. No moisture in there so you don't have any flare-ups or anything. A little bit of salt and pepper just to season up that chicken. Just kind of leave it, don't touch it for a second. Let it brown up at least on one side. We're gonna cook this about 50 to 75% of the way. So we're just looking for a browning. So just get the chicken nicely golden browned up. And then we're all gonna finish that in the sauce as well. All right, I'm gonna pop the chicken out. Like I said, you could definitely cook it all the way if you want to and just pop it in right at the end. We just wanna finish it with the sauce so it absorbs some of that flavor. So the next thing we're gonna do is mushrooms in, a little bit more oil. So just make sure your pan's not too dry. They're gonna soak up a good amount of oil, but you don't want them too oily, so just make sure your pan's hot enough. They start sizzling like this right away. You're gonna cook these for about 2 to 3 minutes. And then once these are almost to the point that we want them to basically be pretty fully cooked, evenly browned, nicely softened. We don't want them to be super firm anymore. We're gonna pop the pasta in the water, and then we're gonna finish off the dish. It'll be really straightforward. Add the onions and garlic in, add the sauce. Super quick, easy dish. Brought to you by Salt, Pepper, Oil, you know. So what you wanna make sure is, as you can see, there's not a ton of blackening on this. It's just a light golden brown. So that's kind of called the fond. And so what that is the little bits that are left over in the pan, and those are flavor. Browning is flavor, and we're gonna pull that up when we add the marinara, so we're gonna lightly scrape the bottom of the pan. A wooden spoon is great, but you can use a stainless steel. Just kind of rub it up. You wanna make sure that the bottom of the pan, you can lift up off all that flavor, and just be adjusting that heat as you need it. You don't wanna have it too hot, you don't wanna have it too cold. You wanna consistently hear that sizzling. If you feel like your edges are blackening too much, if you got discoloration in the pan, turn the heat down a little bit, take it off the heat for a second, it's all right. So next thing we're gonna do is these mushrooms are about underway. We're gonna pop the lid off the pot with salted water. So what you wanna do is when you get your pasta, just wrestle it up a little bit. It might be just very lightly stuck together, but just wrestle it up just a tiny bit, and then you can pop it in the water. 3 to 5 minutes on this pasta here for you. So what you wanna do is get it kind of to this stage. They're softened up, you got nice browning, there's not really any blackening in the pan, and you're gonna lift up all that flavor. But the next thing that we're gonna do is add these onions and garlic in. Just very quick saute, add a little bit more oil as you need it, just to keep everything kind of moving. And what you just wanna do is very lightly soften these. Garlic will burn really quick, so you don't want to have this at too high of a heat. We're just looking for a light translucency on these onions. It'll be about 30 seconds to a minute, and then we're going to add in the marinara. All right, so really quick, so that's nicely colored, but it's a little bit translucent. You can tell the onion softened, it's not as rigid. Marinara sauce, so just add this guy in all the way, and just kind of lightly put it back on the heat, and it's gonna start reducing right away. You just wanna kind of stir it, use your spoon, use your tongs, whatever you're using, And you'll notice that the brown flavor that we had, you can see between the lines that you can see that it's pulling up, right? So all that flavor that we had, all that browning is going right into the sauce. So we're gonna reduce this just for 1 minute. Our pasta's got about a minute on it as well. So next thing we're gonna do is add the cream once this is reduced, almost until it's lightly pasty. So we want the cream to be able to kind of enhance the body of the sauce. And this is kind of what's called a pink sauce. It's a little bit of a weird name, but it's a red sauce that's finished with cream. And it's really nice. It has a lot of flavor, and the butteriness of the cream really elevates it to another level. And so you don't just get acidity, you get a nice balance of fat and acidity. So we're at a good place now. As you can see, it's thickened up a little bit. It's nicely holding together. There's not really any water runoff. So the next thing we're gonna do is add the cream, bring it up to a simmer. We'll rapidly boil it, kind of whatever, depending on the size of quantity that you have. You just want to get this so it's reduced and it's not watery again. All right, pasta out. Shake it up a little bit, it'll go right in. So I'm just gonna put it up on this back burner, it's already drained, but you can see the sauce right here. Nice thick bubbles, you can tell it's not watery. Give that guy a taste. It needs just a little bit of salt. Add a little bit of pepper to it as well. Next thing we're gonna do is add the chicken back. So we're gonna just take this guy, and stir this guy around, let that chicken come back up. So if you feel like it got too thick on you, you can always add just a little bit of water to it, just to loosen up the sauce, and that way you can continue to cook your chicken, just to add a little bit of moisture back to it. So this will go really quick. The chicken's cut into thin strips, so you're not really gonna need a lot of time. It's gonna be really quick, bing, bang, bang, quick. We turn the water off now. It's just boiling water for no reason. So this guy, next thing we're gonna do, add the pasta. So as you can see, it kind of clumped together a little bit. So only thing you need to do is dunk it back in your pasta. If you drain it over a sink, just toss it in a little bit of olive oil, and that'll prevent it from sticking. So pan in. This will also add a little bit of residual water in there for you. So just toss this guy. If you're not comfortable, just do it with your tongs, just fold it over itself. Being very gentle, not to break the pasta, just kind of folding the sauce in onto itself, and everything's nicely coated. You don't have a lot of water draw off, so that means the sauce is reduced properly. So the last thing we're gonna do, add our spinach in. We're gonna add our spinach in. So all we wanna do with this is just get to a wilted consistency on the spinach. So it's just gonna wilt down. You could even do it off the heat. All you gotta do is just fold the spinach in, and the residual heat of the pasta and all the contents, all the ingredients, will wilt it down. It'll just be nice and green, and drop some on the floor, I guess. So we're gonna let this sit here for a second and wilt up the spinach, and we're gonna come back to it and we're gonna plate. Plating is really simple. It's a one-pan dish. So as you can see, the spinach is nicely wilted in there, and we have all the crispness, basically uncrisped. We have uncrisp spinach. It's really nice. You could use frozen spinach for that at home if you want to. That's definitely an easier way to go if you're piling a bunch of orders in there. You could also scrunch it a little bit with your hands. That'll reduce the volume. So what we're gonna do is just grab some tongs. Pasta wants to clump together on me, but what we're gonna do is kind of maneuver it apart. So we're gonna take a few different pieces out of here. All right, so we're gonna layer this a little bit. So you just wanna kind of fold it up on your tongs a little bit. Classic pasta. So we just wanna do this first layer of pasta here. We're gonna add a little bit of the ingredients that we got here. So chicken, mushrooms, spinach, a little bit of everything. You don't want just pasta on the bottom and then all your garnishes on top. So the next thing we're gonna do, get our other set of pasta. Do the same thing, just kind of hold it tight, don't press too hard on it. Just twist it around, do the same thing, just pull a little bit off here, a little bit off there, and there you go. That's that. Last thing we're gonna do is finish off with the rest of the pasta that we didn't catch, and all the garnishes. So the spinach, chicken, mushrooms, all that goodness. Last thing we're gonna do is garnish it with our cheese, just go over it really nicely. What is? Thank you for joining us for this episode of Salt, Pepper, Oil. Don't forget to join us next week. Also, like, comment, and subscribe to this page. We're coming out with new cool stuff every single week, showing you how to cook fresh, easy, and quick, especially with our meals of salt, pepper, oil. We'll see you next time. Don't go anywhere. And this is a full bite.